Hi, my name is Jacob Keene, and welcome to the Writers' Room. With me today, I have two very special guests, Noah Gregory and Alex Roberts.
Nice to meet you, Alex.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Alex Roberts and Noah Gregory and I were all part of the production of the short film Little White Flowers for the Arkansas State Film Society. Today, we will be discussing the process that went behind that film, and you will get the very first premiere of the film. So Noah, welcome.
Thank you, Jacob.
Tell us about yourself.
My name's Noah Gregory. I am from Piggott, Arkansas, a really cool, fun town, which is where we shot Little White Flowers. You remember that?
I remember
It
that.
was really fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very fun.
I go to Arkansas State University. I'm a junior, and I am a creative media production major. Yeah, and that's about it. That's all. I don't really do much.
You have a production company, though,
Oh
don't
yeah,
you?
I have this thing called Playglow. Thanks for making me talk about that.
You're welcome.
All right, Alex, how about you?
All right, so I come from a military family, so I'm like from all over. Yeah, I move like every 2 or 3 years. I also go to Arkansas State University with these two. And yeah, I changed my major last year to corporate media productions, like CMP major. Before that, I was CIT, which was not fun at all.
Mm.
And, you know, it's very depressing. It was very depressing fields. So,
Yeah, Alex and I worked on like his first short film he ever did.
yeah.
I worked on
And that was the week I quit football, too.
Wow.
It was,
Yeah, I played
It was
football for a long time.
The Night Reader. You can watch it on YouTube, but we're not going to show it here, ever.
So what got you guys interested in film?
You want to go first?
I was like 8 years old, right? Or somewhere around then, 8 to 10. And I went and saw that movie Super 8. I don't know if you ever watched that.
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, and they were like making this film about like a zombie attack or something with their little Super 8 camera as this whole alien invasion thing was going on, but who cares about that? And I was like, that's pretty cool. I want to do something like that. So like, I left that theater, and like throughout the rest of that year, I was just like, hey, Mom, Dad, can you get me a camera? And so eventually they did, and I just kind of made my way from there.
How about you, Alex?
Sweet. So I just love, like, I watch movies all the time. Like, that was just like my thing as a kid growing up to escape, because I grew up in a really sports-oriented family, and like everybody was always like football, football, basketball, basketball, and I'm just like over here like movies, movies. So, yeah, I was like in college and stuff, like where I am now, maybe like a year later, and I was like just back home watching movies, and I was like thinking, I was like, man, I really don't want to do this CIT stuff. Like, I'm not trying to be a computer programmer. And I was watching Secret Life of Walter Mitty. If you haven't seen it, I think it's a great movie. It's directed by Ben Stiller, stars Ben Stiller. I'm not a big Ben Stiller fan, but I mean, he's pretty great still. But the movie, the message of the movie was really great. Like, just being able to, like, you know, you see everybody doing their normal things, not really happy, like getting stuck and complacent. And the message is like, you know, he just goes out there and risks it. And I was thinking, I was like, you know, because I was like on a little like spiritual quest, you know, trying to figure out like, what do I like what do I do? What's something I enjoy? Everybody tells you to do what you love, and I was just like, man, I mean, I watch movies all the time. I love movies. I was like, why don't I just make movies? So then I was like, you know, after watching that movie, I was like, I'm gonna change my major, and I changed my major, and everything went from there. And then I met Noah.
Have you guys worked on any other projects besides The Night Reader and this one before?
No.
We almost did.
We did?
Yeah, remember there was another film festival we were going to do about The Door?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We like storyboarded and stuff and kind of wrote like a rough outline, but we never actually got around to filming it. But
That was over like a break, though, wasn't it? Like, we were like going to do that over break.
Mhm.
Was it spring break?
it was, well, no, it was Christmas break.
Christmas break.
Yeah. But I guess technically we started the Film Society up again together, which is what this film that we're going to show later was made through. He's the president of it, so he kind of led the charge on that. But yeah, we haven't really worked on any other films per se.
All right. Is there anything that you guys would like to say about Little White Flowers before we air that?
It was a learning experience.
Yeah,
I don't know which camera's on. Is it that one?
it's two.
It's that one.
Yeah,
It was
it
a
was a
learning
learning
experience.
You need to eat.
I know. I'm sorry, Hal.
You don't have anything to be sorry for. It's not your fault.
It's not. It's not.
It'll be okay. It will be.
I just keep seeing it over and over and over again, and I can't make it stop, Hal. I want to make it stop, but I just can't.
If I could, I'd take it all from you. I would. The pain, all of it. What do I need to do, Em? What did I do to help? Monica. Hey, I'm coming in. No. No! 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 Monica! No! Monica!
All right, that was Little White Flowers, created by Arkansas State Film Society. We're going to toss you to break real quick, and then when we get back, we'll discuss the process that went behind creating such a great film.
But tonight, he's earned that right, because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering them could save you from having a stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
Because of you, I felt hopeless.
Because you said rude things about my work, I started to question my own voice.
I know it was a joke, but it still hurt me.
Because of your negative comments online, I've almost quit doing the one thing that makes me happiest in life.
Because you shared something about me that was private, I felt embarrassed.
Because you said hi to me on the first day of school, I felt included and I knew that I was going to be okay.
Because of you sharing your story with me, I feel comfortable sharing my own.
Because you were there when I was coming out, you helped me regain my confidence.
I'm still here today because of you.
Welcome back to the Writer's Room. Now, we're going to talk about the production and the pre-production and the post-production of Little White Flowers. So Noah, tell us the background of this film.
All right. So, like I said before we showed the short, right, we did this as a Film Society project. We started Film Society up late last November, and we decided that we wanted to get a film out for a film festival called Faultline Film Festival. And we were going to start pre-production on it before we even left for Christmas break. We came up with this one idea. It was like a Monty Python type deal, but it was
like a college humor Monty Python.
Yeah. It was, imagine like a frat, but they're stuck in medieval times, and that was basically it. That was the pitch for the short. And we wrote a script for it and everything, and as we were reading through it one day, we realized that we were not going to be able to pull it together in the short amount of time that we had. So we gave ourselves a week to come up with, we all that were involved in that creative process, there were about 5 or 6 of us, we all decided we were going to write a 15 to 20 page script, and we would read it at the next meeting, and whoever was best received, we would just go ahead and do that if it was feasible for that time. So Willie Huddleston, who was our secretary for a time, he came to me and asked if I would write a screenplay based off of his idea. There's this urban legend or something about a Hungarian suicide song, and he was interested in that, and he'd mentioned that concept to me before, and he decided that he thought we could do that in this time frame if we just kind of condensed his idea into almost like a pitch for a feature length. That was his approach to it. So he came to me and he asked if I'd write the screenplay, and I said I would. And we FaceTimed one night, and he kind of gave me ideas of points that he wanted to hit, and I took that and I thought of ways that we could make it all the points that he wanted to hit in a 15-minute-ish film. As you saw, it wasn't quite 15 minutes, but I decided that the story we were going to tell was to kind of move away from the more supernatural suicide song, because that was kind of what it's, the Hungarian one is, there's something about the song supernatural-like that causes people to kind of lose their minds. I didn't really want to go for that. I kind of wanted to tell a story about just loss and distance between people that have lost other people. And so that's the story I decided to tell. As you saw, the woman, Monica, who's played by Cheyenne Lawrence, she lost her mother in a car accident, and so she's grieving throughout the whole thing. And obviously that's at the forefront. That's the thing you notice the most. But then you also recognize that the husband is having to deal with his own distance between his wife as she's grieving. His whole subplot is the fact that he wants to be able to help her overcome her battles with this, and he can't. And you see the toll that takes on him throughout the film as well. And so it was that's what the background of it was for me, is I just wanted to explore loss in a very short, compacted film.
So how did you decide what aspects to take from this original pitch and transfer it over to this shorter screenplay that you ended up writing?
Well, originally Willie wanted to kind of focus more on like a nationwide scale. Like you'd hear the song over the radio and millions would be affected. And I recognized that that probably would be very difficult to do, and I just didn't feel like I could write that kind of story and do it justice. He probably could have, but I just didn't feel like I could. So I'm better, I think, at taking smaller stories between one or two characters and telling those kind of stories as opposed to more large-scale ones. I felt like this was more in my ballpark, so that's why he mentioned that he thought it would be cool to maybe explore the origins of the song as like a cold open to it. And so I took that idea and just decided to make that the full short film. I felt like that was more feasible for us to do.
All right. Well, Alex, why don't you tell me what role you had in the pre-production of this film?
So I was more so the director of photography. So when it came to like lighting and just like the colors we would use. I mean, when we came up on the set piece, because we were looking for somewhere to shoot, we went up to Piggott, as he said before. It was a house behind his church, and I mean, we didn't really have much decision in like the wall coloring. Like it was all wood. Like we can't change the wood. I mean, we were kind of like just going in there, and we had permission to shoot in there, so we had to work around that with like the coloring of like the wood and everything. Like it was all brown, and with the color grading and everything, we went with more of like a yellowish green tone, because if we would have went with a blue, then you know, Kenny, with what he was wearing blue, and she was wearing green, which were like contradicting colors. So it would have looked weird. They would have kind of blended in with the screen and everything. So I was like, all right, because I started off going blue, because like I was going for like Gone Girl, like, you know, that type. I mean, they use yellow in there, but I was more so like the scenes, which are more like somber and like, you know, like a low tone, because that's what I was getting from the vibe with the script. The thing we didn't get to like clash heads together with like when we're coming up with like the shot list and everything and what colors we wanted to use. That was like one thing we should have done. What we're gonna do next time.
Just because of the short time frame we had to do it, like a week of pre-production. We just never found time to come together and work only on that.
Yeah. So yeah, and then, like the shot list, like I had a shot list planned out, but when we got there, it was just like we didn't get it printed out, and when we did print it out, it was so small you couldn't even read it. So
comedically
yeah, we only got like maybe 50% of the shots, because it started becoming more run and gun at the point, because most of it was supposed to be on tripod, but like a lot of it ended up being handheld. But with the color palettes and everything, yeah, I mean, I thought the yellow went good with like kind of like popping them out of the screen a little more. But yeah, it was there's some orange in there too. But as far as color grading went, like that took like kind of like a whole day, because you got to color correct and color grade. I mean, that was, and there were some. Okay, so this is like the big thing that happened on there. So we shot on 3 different cameras. The main camera was a C100, and that's like that's a nice camera. We used to use the kit lens on there. It was really sharp, and Chase brought his T5i, which is like the lower end. These are all Canon cameras. I wanted to shoot on Sony. I'm more of a Sony person, but we got stuck with Canon. So I'm not saying anything bad about Canon. The color science behind Canon is really good. That's why we ended up going with Canon. But color grading, you know, you can always fix that.
Right.
But off the subject, yeah, so we shot on the C100, the T5i, and then Brandon, the guy who was doing our BTS, we ended up taking his camera as well and putting it on a Ronin gimbal to shoot some shots too. And he had like the T7i. Yeah, it was a T7i. So that was like a slightly better, but like whenever we went into it, like we didn't go in to the settings on there. Like I completely forgot. And like this just didn't cross my mind or Chase's mind when we were filming. We didn't change the color profile to make it neutral, so they all kind of matched. So whenever we filmed everything and brought it back into post, we had something super magenta and something like very neutral and cinematic, and having to match those colors up from scene to scene to bring continuity was like, it was kind of a nightmare, which that was, yeah. But we made it work. I mean, for the most part, we used some of the T7i footage, and I don't know if you can tell, but maybe not.
Well, why don't you guys tell me more about the shooting day? Like, talk about your talent and just how the day went overall.
We filmed on that Sunday, right?
Yeah.
We filmed on a Sunday. I was already in Piggott because I lived there. So I'd gone about 2 days earlier, and I started prepping the set as much as I could. But there was just certain stuff that I couldn't do without you guys on set to kind of point me in the right direction, especially director of photography. But I was there that weekend. Sunday morning, you guys came up at about 8 a.m., and from there, we worked until 10 p.m. It was a 14-day shoot, or I wouldn't have made it if it was a 14-day shoot. It was a 14-hour shoot. Very long. We got a very late start, which kind of killed us. But once we got rolling, it started falling together. Like, I think the shot we did the most, we only did like 7 takes, which was something I was worried about. I was afraid we were going to be doing like a dozen takes for each thing, and that was going to be what slowed us down. But really, there was only a handful of shots that took us more than 1 take or more than 2 takes. Everything else, the talent really saved us because they were so good at what we were wanting them to do that every time that there was a mistake, it was on our end. So that was something that we could easily fix. The scene we watched on there with Cheyenne as Monica, that dialogue scene, the only big dialogue scene in that was 1 take. And I remember being really impressed with that. And that was one of the earlier scenes we shot that day. As soon as we shot that, I think everyone's attitude and morale just kind of boosted up. Because after that, we were just hitting them left and right, and we were on the ground running. So after it kind of started flowing more smoothly after that.
Right. So Alex, you were lead editor on this, right?
Yeah, I ended up being. I wasn't supposed to be, but I ended up being.
What was the editing process like?
Well, so when we brought it back in the editing room, like we had we had problems with trying to figure out some of the stories. If we started trying to take it because when we brought it back, we realized we're like, whoa, this is we might need to change some parts of it because that's not the original story we showed up there. That's on the script.
Right.
And man, I mean, we had different cuts and stuff. Whenever we went with we did Noah's cut and everything. Pretty much, he did all the cutting for what segment's gonna be where's gonna go, where's everything gonna go. And as far as everything I did, I mean, I did the graphics on the beginning or something that took me 4 hours to do YouTube. And I know, right? You can learn anything on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, the graphics and from color correcting and just making sure things would flow, even with keyframing, slow zooms and stuff, just trying to get that stuff together. But yeah, that was the main thing. But as far as the scene placements and everything, that's on Noah's end.
Any shots that either of you are particularly proud of?
I really like the beginning.
Yeah, that natural.
The two at the very beginning are probably my 2 favorites.
Yeah, when we were filming, when we were doing that, I was seeing the natural light just come through the back, and I was like, wow, that's really nice. We should get that before the sun goes down.
Yeah.
So then we had, and we didn't have a smoke machine. We were supposed to have one, but Chase was broke. So we had Kenny rip a big one off his vape and just kind of let it air out in there so you can see the God lights come through. And yeah, those were all 1 takes too.
They were. Yeah.
Yep. Those were pretty good. Yeah, that was my favorite too, honestly.
Yeah.
Just that
was probably the best room to shoot in, and we got done really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good natural light within the house. Yeah.
That was probably the best thing about the house.
Right.
Was that we didn't really have to mess too much with any lighting kits.
Yeah.
Oh, we with the room.
Okay, in the bedroom, we had to deal with a lot of the lighting
yeah.
kit, but everywhere else we were all right for the most part.
What is something that you guys could say that you learned from this process and that you would change?
About everything I did, I would probably do better in the future.
Okay.
We came in with a schedule, and I was told that my schedule was not very effective, so we just kind of threw it to the side. But I think if we'd stuck to the schedule, to be fair, on the schedule side, we experienced some, I don't want to say difficulties, but yeah, there was an actor who couldn't make it at the time we'd originally thought he was going to be able to. So we had to push that back just a little bit. And we didn't just waste the time that we would have used then. We kind of used it to set up all the all the rigs we were going to set up through at the house, and we did do that. But what we should have done is started filming just the next thing on the schedule, and we were setting up to do that, but we should have. What I would do is just fasten the pace of all that, the movement through all the scenes.
Yeah, I think pre-production was the main thing for me, man. Like, I really think we should have spent more time in pre-production, actually, like, getting the storyboard out of it, like, see what everything's going to look like and how it's going to go together and what scenes mean things, like, you know, what's it supposed to mean, stuff like that.
And like you said, us getting together and actually kind of discussing what the shots were going to look like, if the shots that you had in mind meshed with the image we needed to push.
And this was rushed, too. We got rushed like a week ahead of production schedule because we were trying to submit for another film festival, which we did not submit for, but I mean, we got it done.
We'll make it.
Yeah, being rushed was a big thing that we messed up on.
Yeah. All right, any final words, guys?
Final words?
I'm really glad that we're done editing. We finally finished last night at like 10 p.m., and so the post-production was definitely the worst part of this. There were a lot of times where I was just wanting to like just throw it all away, but luckily Alex and you and everyone else in Film Society kind of urged me to keep trying at it, and I think we all have done that to each other at some point within the past 2 weeks.
Right.
But really and truly, there's definitely some stuff that I would change in that, no doubt, as we've talked about. But there's also a lot of stuff in there that we should be proud of, I feel. And it's easy for us to sit here now that it's kind of behind us and be like, oh, wow, that's really bad. I can't believe we were thinking that, and kind of just trashing on it over and over again.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of stuff in there that we should be proud of, especially for you. This is his second production he's ever worked on, ever.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. It's a stepping stone. That's why I said at one of the past Film Society meetings is that this was a stepping stone. We went into it knowing it was going to be a stepping stone. And even if our expectations were a little bit higher, I think that at the end of the day, what we produced is something that we can definitely be proud of. And it's something that I'm proud of for sure.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming. But before you guys leave, make sure to stick around and see all of the fantastic people that worked on this film. Thank you. See you next time.